Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker is now just 35 days away from its official release by writer and director J.J. Abrams and Chris Terrio, as well as creator George Lucas. This is Mike Zero. Make sure to subscribe if you're new to the channel for future Star Wars content. Now, one thing about Episode 9 that a lot of fans are very concerned about is, of course, exactly how Disney and Lucasfilm are going to utilize many of the different characters in this film, such as Palpatine, Rey, Kylo Ren, Luke Skywalker, and others among them, as well as exactly how Disney and Lucasfilm is, of course, going to wrap up the entire Skywalker saga with this single movie that's going to debut in just a little over 1 month from now. And if you think about it, it really is a big deal to both Disney and Lucasfilm. This is the final installment of the Skywalker saga that started back in 1977, so a lot of things really have to be done correctly in order to satisfy a majority of the fans around the world. Now, on top of all of this, these past couple of weeks or so, we've been learning a whole lot more about this film. When it all comes to the ending of Episode 9, this is where things begin to get quite worrisome for the state of this movie, Disney, Lucasfilm, and J.J. Abrams. Now, specifically, alright, it's explained that during the reshoots of the film, during the months of August, September, and October, is when Disney and Lucasfilm changed many aspects of the second and third acts of the film, and made many adjustments to the movie. It's explained that as of right now, Disney and Lucasfilm are trying to figure out how the very ending of the film should be done, since they have 3 different endings, and that Disney and Lucasfilm are in a state of confusion as to how they can make an acceptable ending that would appeal to a majority of Star Wars fans. The ending of the film is the primary focus right now, and that they are trying to use pieces of all 3 different endings that they are currently actually having by piecing them all together into one satisfying ending for the fans. It's noted that Disney got George Lucas on board to help with the development of the final frames of the movie, and that time is very limited right now, and that Lucasfilm is rushing to get to the ending of the film finished before the film's release date. It's explained that the ending of the film surrounding the characters of Rey, Kylo, Palpatine, and even Force ghosts of the past that is said to be the meat of the ending. However, other characters are currently either being cut out of the current ending and or are being shifted around. These characters mostly have to do with the brand new characters in the movie. However, some of the John Williams themes are being switched around for the current ending of the film to provide a different tone of the final battle between Rey, Kylo, and Palpatine, and that some of the vital moments are being adjusted out of fear of the audience and their reaction that they were to leave it alone. It's explained that Disney and Lucasfilm are trying to prevent another backlash of a Star Wars movie just like with The Last Jedi, and that they're trying to make this film perfect so that Disney can actually play for Star Wars fans will be an attractive platform for Disney+. With George's help and Kathleen Kennedy now said to be involved with the ending as well, fans are very concerned of how the ending will end up being in the final product by Lucasfilm. Disney and Lucasfilm are said to be in a state of editing the ending of the movie with George Lucas, now involved using scrambled pieces of footage from the other previous endings to use to develop a unique ending for fans that would fit the characters of Rey and Kylo best in order to honor the Skywalker legacy. The current state of the ending is in pieces, and they are quickly putting it all together before the release date and at the premiere of the film this December. Kathleen Kennedy is described to be less involved with the direction of the new ending of the movie, but is still involved, and that in the film's ending is what will define the film's success of course, not just due to certain fates of specific characters that are also being altered slightly left and right. Overall, Disney and Lucasfilm are working around the clock to get the ending finished, and that progress has been made, but time is short, and that they have actually gone through everything very quickly over time, where fans are hoping everything comes great for the final installment of the Skywalker saga. So let's go over a couple of parts about this and as to why this is a concern for me, and I'm sure a lot of Star Wars fans out there. The number one thing is that they are rushing to get the ending done correctly. Now, in my point of view, rushing is not the answer, and in order to get something done perfectly, you should at the very minimum maybe even delay it by a month or 2 at max in order to really get things done correctly. Now, obviously, I know realistically speaking, there's no way in the world that they would delay Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker due to all the tickets that sold and how everybody knows it's coming out on December 19th to the 20th, and a lot of fans are very much in tune with exactly when it's releasing. So there's no way that they would really delay this movie at all, really, especially by Disney, right? So, The ending of this film is in pieces, and they're trying to put it together into one big ending by using all 3 different endings that they shot that are left out of the 6 ones initially, where they're trying to piece all aspects of the 3 endings, parts of them at least, into one big ending for The Rise of Skywalker that will satisfy different mediums of Star Wars fans. Whether you're into Reylo, for example, or whether you're into Luke Skywalker, or Force Ghost, or Palpatine, they're going to be borrowing elements from the 3 existing endings by combining all those endings together, certain parts of them, to make a very satisfying ending for Episode 9. Now, I don't know about you guys, but to me, using pieces of 3 different endings is a recipe for disaster, in my point of view. I feel that they should just stick with one ending and one ending only, pick this one, that one, or the other one, and just go with it and see how it rolls. That's my, philosophy of how it should be done under Disney and Lucasfilm, as opposed to combining pieces of all 3 different endings. It might be a little too convoluted and a little too out of the place everywhere, and it might confuse, some of the audience members without a doubt. Now, the other thing that really concerns me as well is how Kathleen Kennedy is said to now be involved in some way, shape, or form with the ending of Episode 9, given that they have to get this thing done ASAP, right? So, George Lucas is a part of the ending as we speak, as well as Kathleen Kennedy. Now, it's unclear if Kathleen Kennedy has a big say in the matter as to exactly, what should be done here, and there, or if Kathleen Kennedy is just, watching over the progress that's being made and kind of just getting slightly involved with it all, right? So, the ending to this movie, not only is it very important to the success at the box office results of Episode 9, but it's also going to determine how the fans will look at the Skywalker saga as a whole, in general, right? How it begins and how it ends. And if it has a very bad ending, it's going to leave a lot of fans very unhappy with how it's going to have a lot of saga-wide implications and how it will change how we view the prequels and the originals. And that's the one thing that a lot of fans are really on edge about right now, is the fact that, they really are going through all these different adjustments and all these different changes last minute. 35 days away, and even less than that if you count the premiere of course, The Rise of Skywalker. The premiere is usually around a week, maybe a week and a half prior to the release of the movie. If I'm not mistaken, I believe for The Last Jedi it was like December 10th or the 11th or something like that, before it released sometime later on in the month, like the 20-something. But this new movie, by the way, is going to be very important because it really does kind of just tell us exactly where the franchise will stand and where it's going to go, and I'd be shocked to see exactly what happens with The Rise of Skywalker's box office results and how that will lead to either the cancellation of specific projects or different, strategies of how they should release future Star Wars films and live-action TV series. I mean, we saw a prime example of what happened with Solo's A Star Wars Story box office results and how that led to the cancellation of 10 Star Wars standalone films. 10 years worth of Star Wars material wiped off the face of the earth, just deleted by Disney and Lucasfilm, pretty much put to the wayside and being reworked into either now live-action TV series or into other forms of material. Now, that's the thing here, is that The Rise of Skywalker, J.J. Abrams is approaching this movie as a foundation to create new Star Wars lore that's going to tie into the new mythology, the new Star Wars trilogy, which could very well indicate that the new trilogy may very well take place after the events of Episode 9 or well before the events of Episode 1, like the Old Republic era. We do know that initially, David Benioff and D.B. Weiss, their trilogy, they wanted to explore the origin of the Jedi, and that would have been very interesting. At the same exact time, though, I think that the Old Republic was a better choice to go with. But that's totally off the table. That's not happening. The new trilogy, they gotta find new writers, new directors now that want to create their own stories. That was David Benioff and D.B. Weiss's stories. They wanted to do the origin of the Jedi, which may have not had a lot of action if it's about the origin of the Jedi, to be honest. It might have been primitive times of exactly how the Jedi started. It would have been interesting maybe for a flashback, but I'm not quite sure for a whole trilogy. But looking at Episode 9 here, I will say that I'm still hopeful about the movie. I'm still optimistic about how it's going to turn out. After all, we haven't seen the film on the big screen yet. We don't have a lot of context as far as the scenes go. So that's, a very important thing is context, exactly what happens, between these characters and how everything is done on the screen. What the emotions are like, what the characters are feeling, everything like that. So Anyways, guys, drop a comment below. Let me know what you think about all of this in the comments, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, do make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.